Mm. Oh yes, I'm ready. Hey everybody, we here. I'm just ready for Leader Tips Live. I'm super excited that you took some time out of your schedule tonight to be with me here on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And so it's going to be an exciting time. I'm ready to share with you some thoughts that I personally have right now. And one thing I'm going to tell you every time I do Leader Tips Live, one of the main things that I love to do is to have people comment. So the whole reason why I do this is so that I can engage with you and have conversations with you about life, leadership, and how you can make a difference in the spaces that you are in. And I believe that all of us have a way to do that. So the first rule that I'm gonna give to everybody is if you want to share or ask any questions tonight, please be in the comment section. Put your comments. I'm going to respond to you tonight and answer anything that you might throw at me as it relates to leadership, as it relates to life, and just in general. If you just have some general questions about me and what I'm doing, I would love to answer those things. So tonight, it's going to really be really awesome, and I'm going to share. So I'm going to start out real quick, sharing some few things that's been on my heart lately. So as all of us know, our country is going through a lot right now, and we're dealing with a lot of things. And these first 6 months have been kind of troubling for a lot of us. And we've been challenged in a lot of ways to do different things. But one of the things that I think is important for us to understand is that this is halftime. The next 6 months can be really impactful and significant if we just make a conscious decision to do something about it. And so all of us have a responsibility right now. All of us have the responsibility to engage and get involved and just think through some stuff and really consider the moment that we're in. Because to be honest, this is our chance to say, you know what, the first half was trash. I don't know about you, but I felt like the first 6 months of this year was kind of like, man, this is a lot. And I'm experiencing a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. I'm not focused as much as I want to be. So I want to be better and more effective, but I'm dealing with all this stuff that's going on in the world. And so my thing for you tonight is this is halftime. Right now, make a conscious decision to do something significant for the rest of the year that would actually move you in the direction that you want to go. Like right now is the time to just take a pause and say, hey, I'm going to write some stuff. I'm going to make some decisions. I'm going to put myself on pace to do some different things for the rest of the year. So my encouragement for you tonight is this is halftime. It's time to get in the game. It's time to refocus. It's time to reset. It's time to say, hey, I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to push forward in a significant way. So that's the first thing I want to get off my chest to encourage us tonight on this Leader Tips Live is that you and I have an opportunity to get involved and make a difference in the world and do something significant. Because really right now, we need everybody involved in the game. We need everybody saying, hey, bro, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to ensure that people are being impacted and affected by the decisions that I'm making. Okay? So that's the first thing I want to say to us as we get started tonight. As I've always said, put your comments in the comment link. I definitely want to take all of your questions later, but I have some things to share. This has been on my mind and on my chest. So first of all, as it relates to leadership, I really, really feel significantly right now, we are in a leadership crisis. Point blank period. I don't care how you dress it. I don't care how you talk about it. We are literally in a crisis moment in our culture and our society when it comes down to leadership because people are not taking it serious of the stuff that's going on. So right now, we all are dealing with COVID-19. We all have seen all the things that have been happening as it relates to police brutality in America. We all are being impacted by the conversations that people are having as it relates to how do we restructure policing? How do we do these different things? And, my thoughts have been that we have to be real with ourselves about how important it is for our leaders to make decisions that benefits us. I kind of been kind of quiet on how I feel about a lot of stuff, and I may not say really, really, really how I feel, but it is so important that people understand, man, that like leadership is not about you. getting in a role or taking on a space is not about you. You never apply for a job. You never take a leadership role and make it about you. That is one of the biggest problems that we have right now in our country and our culture is people don't recognize, like, bruh, you have to do what is necessary to help people. Leadership is not about me gaining anything from it. If I take a leadership role in a company or anything today, right now, I will not gain anything from it because it's not about me. And one of the biggest problems that we're having right now with political leaders especially is they're too busy trying to jostle for attention, too busy trying to outdo each other, that they're forgetting that millions of people's lives are at risk right now. Millions of people's lives are at risk. People are being affected by your decisions that you're making. People are being impacted so significantly about the decision that you make. There may be people on here tonight who have businesses and organizations, and there are things that you're doing and things you're trying to build and things that you're trying to make people aware of in the structure of how you grow your organization. Simply put, if you don't prioritize or value the people that you're trying to get to be a part of what you're trying to do, it's not going to work out for you in the long run. Let's be real about that. Like all these reports that I'm seeing about testing and all these reports that I'm seeing about drawbacks. Like even today, I saw a report about at the federal level, they're talking about cutting down the funds for testing. Number one, we hadn't even tested everyone yet. Secondly, it blows my mind that we are not prioritizing human life right now. There's such a lack of leadership when it comes down to these issues. And I encourage people to, do your research, read, be safe out here. There are reports that there's going to be a second wave coming in the fall, and people are so gung-ho on trying to get what they want and move forward, and they're doing all these different things to try to push forward what they're trying to get done. Listen, it can't be about that. One of my favorite books is this book called Profiles in Courage. It was written by John F. Kennedy. And in this particular book, he actually talks about 8 different legislators, whether they've been, U.S. representatives or senators, who literally made sacrifices for their political career to do the right thing. They were so willing to put their careers on the line because they knew that if I make the right decision, that if I am helpful in this way, I'm going to make a significant difference in somebody else's life, and people can benefit for what I'm doing. Right now, we got people in leadership that don't care about what they're doing. They simply don't care. And yes, Rashina, you're right. It's about self-agendas and not about ensuring that the people that elected me or people that asked me to be their boss or what company I work for, like they are simply not benefiting from the decisions that I'm making. They're simply not. And one of the things that you and I have a responsibility to understand, and even right now, is that we can hold these people accountable. This is why elections matter. This is why we have to vote. This is why we have to put pressure on local officials. This is why we have to be engaged in the process. You know why? Because if you don't engage, you can never get your voice to be heard. Like you said, nobody hears you if you're not talking. Like you and I have a responsibility to hold leadership accountable. Now, listen, this whole time is not going to be me talking about this, but because I'm somebody who cares a lot about leadership and think a lot about how leaders' decisions affects people's lives, when we have irresponsibility in leadership, there's such a domino effect. So many people are impacted by decisions that leaders make. You cannot continue to push the buck and pretend like it don't matter, fam. You have a responsibility to the people that you lead and you serve. Like right now in my home state, I don't really talk about Mississippi very much, and I care a lot about Mississippi. For those people that didn't know, I am from Jackson, Mississippi. I love my home state. I saw a tweet today by the Jackson Free Press, and they were sharing specifically about something that was very interesting to me. They're talking about how in the fall, there's a likely chance that in Mississippi, they won't even have enough beds to deal with things that have nothing to do with COVID. Like, there's a possibility right now that in Mississippi, they won't have beds to deal with if somebody got in a car accident or ventilators for all this stuff. Like, it is amazing that we don't realize how necessary it is for us to prepare. My dad would always say, you prepare for war in a time of peace. It is a responsibility of leaders to prepare and make sure that everyone that's involved can benefit from the fact that you're in leadership. It is so critical and it's so serious right now. We need our leaders to make conscious decisions to benefit the people that they are in charge of or have been given the responsibility of leading. I'm just going to say this right now. And aside to that, if you have questions, if you want to ask me anything about leadership, about life, my opinion about something, I'm definitely going to answer your questions tonight. Put it in the comments, send me a message, say, hey, Lee, I want to ask you about this particular thing, because this stuff matters. Your life matters. I do this because I care about the fact that every single person that's on here listening or watching right now, you have something to give to the world. And it's important that you and I understand our responsibility and what we can do to make a difference in the world. And right now, you can make a difference in your own space and in your own place in the world. And so it's important that we continuously have these conversations about these things, because the reality is people ain't going to do it for us at this point. People are not going to do it for us at this point. We're dealing with people who don't want to make decisions that benefit us. So what do we need to do? The question I have for us tonight, what do we need to do? And you're right, Rashina, they simply have to get to the place where they care. It's simply about caring. It's simply about us saying, man, I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be invested. Hey, Casey. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. I like seeing people on here. Like I said, be in the comments, share comments. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear what you think about what's going on. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to answer them tonight. I'll be on here until 8. So I'm going to answer them tonight. But as I was saying, like, it is so important that people take serious the current situation. It is so serious. It's not a joke. I know right now in my home state, we always get into the semantics of politics, but let's be real. If it has to get beyond that, it has to be more about what can we do to transform, protect, preserve, take care of people's lives. Folks' lives are at stake. At your job, in your business, people's lives are at stake. They're impacted by your decisions. Because see, leadership is not something that's just so big and so massive and out of reach. All of us have a level of leadership. All of us have a capacity for leadership. All of us can make a difference in the world. And when we don't recognize that we can make a difference in the world, we will simply not engage in the ways that we need to engage. We think, well, that's somebody else's responsibility. Man, you can make something happen at your business. You can make something happen at your job. You may not be the big dog, but you can definitely make a difference in how people move and how people function in that regard as it relates to their organization or business. And tonight, like, I honestly have been thinking a lot about these things. How important it is for us to recognize and understand the value that we can bring to any situation. Like, you can bring value to your business. You can bring value to your organization. You can bring value to anything that you're doing. But when we don't prioritize it, when we don't simply see ourselves as valuable, when we don't engage in conversations, we don't talk about stuff. Like at your job right now, push the envelope to have conversations about how can we be more efficient? How can we transform this organization or business in a way that it is applicable to meeting the needs of folks? Because let's be real, Too many people are trying to get back to business as usual. That's a problem. That is a fundamental problem. It will never go back to the way it used to be. It's not going to go back. Let's get out of our minds that it's going to go back to business as usual. It's not. It's not going to happen. Because the dynamics of what's been happening in our culture and our society has transformed things around us so drastically that it's going to require that we understand how to be prepared for the next thing. More than anything, if we don't take time out to analyze and prepare, somebody said something, somebody made a Facebook post that really impacted me. She's on here right now, but she talked about how we should use data to understand meeting the needs of people that we need to take care of. Like, using data is a powerful thing, because then when you're engaging with conversation, if you go on listening tours, if you take the time out to listen to folks, people will tell you what they want. They just will. People will let you know how they feel about stuff. And it's important for us to prioritize that. I got my first question. Thank you, Rashina. Thank you. She said, how do you deal or maneuver in a narcissistic system? Now, that is a loaded question. I think, and a very interesting one, because, I think a lot of our culture, this is not just political culture, but a lot of our culture is built around personalities. It's built around preferences, popularity. A lot of our systems are not necessarily built around competence. It's built around, do you have the aesthetic, the look, the style, the allure that I like personally? Do you have it? Do you have the thing that makes me want to be around you, makes me want to engage with you, makes me want to say, oh, they got it. Excuse me. And how we deal with that is, there's several ways I think we can deal with a narcissistic system, or a system that in some ways is more forgiving of certain folks. This is how we deal with it. Number one is collective action. More than anything, collective action actually makes a difference in holding people accountable. Because when you have the numbers on your side, no matter how this individual wants to make themselves feel, or try to, maneuver in the system, or try to protect themselves, they are going to be required to respond. Because see, they're held accountable to you. Like, there's some organizations right now, literally, if every person walked out, that business couldn't run. Like, it just simply couldn't, because they are putting pressure on the system or forcing the will of the system to respond to the people. Like, number one, collective action is probably the most powerful thing. But I think sometimes we're too busy trying to get our agenda heard and not focusing on the thing that matters the most. It may just be that your piece could be blocking the overall cause of what needs to happen. So you have to ask yourself, how can what I care about be a part of the solution? But let's deal with the biggest issue. Let's hit that first. Number one is collective action. Number two, how do we deal and maneuver? Simply put, like, it comes down to, money makes the world go round. Collective action is huge, but money tends to influence folks in a significant way. People make decisions based on money that will blow your mind. Like, it is amazing the type of decisions folks will make because of money. Like, if I can get a financial gain from this, I'm going to make this decision. Like, we simply are in a very money-driven culture and a money-driven society. So it sometimes impacts us in a significant way when people are beholden to dollars. It's kind of a scary thing, but it's the reality. And for those of us who are trying to make a difference or trying to push issues, having financial backing can be a benefit to you, a significant benefit. Like having the equity to say, hey, we want to push this issue can be big. There's one person that, no matter your views about him, I find him to be very interesting, particularly Jay-Z. Jay-Z is not particularly known for being a very public person about what he does behind closed doors. But there's one thing about him very specifically that is very intriguing to me. A few years ago, he took upon himself to form a organization called Reform with researchers and activists and politicians to actually specifically deal with criminal justice reform. Now, he's a billionaire, so therefore he has the type of access that some people don't have. Okay, he has the ability to get in rooms and have conversations with folks that little old Lee don't have yet. I don't have that type of access. So he's able to use his financial power to cause policy change and influence the culture and how we deal with things like policing, deal with things like criminal justice reform, particularly in Mississippi. He was one of the people that really put pressure on our state elected officials to try to change some of the things that they've been doing as it relates to how they've been running prisons in Mississippi. Like they've been pushing them to shut down this prison called Parchment in Mississippi, because it's one of the most horribly ran prisons in the country. It's like, shut it down. Like they've been trying to get them to shut it down for years. And so you have this moment where somebody is using their financial power to put pressure on the system and push them to do something different. That is a beneficial thing for all of us. Okay. So you got one, collective action, meaning people getting together, signing petitions. One of the things that's been happening lately with all of these cases that have been going on as it relates to criminal justice reform, a lot of it has been moving because the people, you and I, decided to get involved and started to put our talent, our money, our assets towards issues that we cared about. We started to sign petitions. I've signed several petitions to try to push justice forward in some way, push the conversation forward in some way, because it matters. It matters that we take collective action, but also have individuals behind the scenes with money and influence and power pushing the issues that we need to get pushed forward. So I think that's how we deal and maneuver in a narcissistic system. It's through collective action and through financial and influential power. You need both to be effective and actually make a difference in the world and push people to take the steps that we need them to take as it relates to focusing on and making a priority the things that we care about. Like, it simply comes down to everybody being on the same page and money. As I said, if you have questions on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, right now, you could put in the comments, put your questions in the comments. I'm answering everything. I don't know why I got tongue tied. Answer everything as it relates to life, leadership. You can ask some questions about me. You can ask me what's going on in my life right now. I like doing this live, and I want it to be interactive, definitely, because let's be real. Like, we ain't getting out much these days. Many of us are at home. If we're getting out a little bit, it's kind of, to go to the grocery store and maybe to do a few things. But I want to hear you. First of all, how is everybody doing? I just want to see you in the comments. Share with me how you're doing. How's your family? Are you engaging with your family? How is this situation changed the dynamics of how you're engaging with technology and talking to folks and engaging with folks? I'm seeing another question. I'm going to read it. So the question is, do you suggest rewriting business plans because there is a shift? Oh, that's the truth. Prepare for this. Continue to for a while. Yes. So many people are using platforms like Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, and another platform. And how are these platforms how people are using this to shop at home. I agree. I think the online platform has been the main source for people to get stuff done. I think, it's funny because the interesting thing is, like, in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, we have seen the proliferation and the influence of the internet on our daily lives. Like, it is amazing how much social media and business and everything is so interconnected to how we do things online. It blows your mind. Like, Zoom has made so much money this year. Zoom is not. Here's the funny part. Zoom has been around for a while. Like, Zoom didn't just show up. Zoom has been a company for some years, but it took the right moment for Zoom to get their shine in a way that, like, Zoom has made so much money in the last 6 months. It is insane. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but they have made so much money because they were prepared with a great platform that people could use. Like, the internet age has literally changed our way of life in such a significant way that it changes the way we communicate and engage with one another. And I think for us, as we prepare for this year, even when you're starting to build a business now, think about how is it going to translate online? How is it going to impact people online? I can share a straight up story for me. So when I started leading, I did in-person seminars. At the end of last year, I had a conversation with my boy, Kyle Sturck, who produces Leading. And literally our conversation was, bro, I'm trying to do this. I want to transfer, these ideas and stuff into a different platform. So how can I do this? Kyle literally said to me, Lee, I said to Kyle, I said, man, what if we just went online? What if I started doing this online? Not knowing COVID was going to happen. Not knowing that all these things are going to start happening in society, because I can't hold my seminars at the library. This is what I was holding. I was holding seminars at the library, and I can't. So I started doing Leading online. I started posting videos. I started doing all this stuff online. And if you haven't, go and subscribe to Leading with Lee on YouTube right now. Like, you can go on YouTube right now. I have about 8 or 9 videos right now about leadership, about life, about things that I care about impacting people, that you can go on right now and you can subscribe and watch. If you haven't subscribed, I mean, it's a shameless plug. You on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube with me right now. Listen to me talk to you about leadership, and listen to me talk to you about how we can make a difference in the world. Like, for real. Like, take the time right now and go subscribe. Like, go subscribe to Leading with Lee right now. Recommend your friends to go and subscribe to Leading with Lee. Because I think that even with the people that I'm bringing on to share, like, there's some people who are brilliant, who are sharing some things that can encourage us and motivate us to make a difference in the world right now. That we don't have to change our venue. We don't have to change where we are. We can actually benefit from folks who have paved the way in certain ways for us. Like, that's a healthy thing for you and I to do. Okay, it is shifting the way we engage. It's shifting the way we go about these things. And I think, honestly, we're in a new age, man. We're in a significant age where anybody can be discovered. Justin Bieber was discovered because he was on YouTube. That's literally how he got a recording contract, because somebody found him on YouTube. Usher saw a video of Justin Bieber on YouTube, and that's why the boy has a career. Like, the possibilities are endless, but we have to be willing to do the work. Here's the thing. You got to do the work. Like, you have to do the work. The work don't change. You still got to grind. You still got to put in the work. I see my brother on here. I see one of my best friends on here. What's up, Ralph? How you doing, brother? Paul, how you doing, man? Good to see you. So I see another question from Sydney. He says, how do we not allow a toxic environment to affect our leadership? That's a great question. That is a phenomenal question. How do we not allow it to affect our own personal leadership? I think it is important for us to realize that like we were leaders before we came into places. And that like other leaders' decisions or an environment's decision or the decisions that are made in an environment really have nothing to do with you personally. In a sense, they don't. What you have to do is understand who you are. See, that's a question of identity. Because a lot of times leaders create environments, they perpetuate environments, they are the people that set the environment. If something is not working, it's a lot of times because the leader is a certain way. If there's no ability for people to engage in authentic and healthy conversations within an organization, it's because the leader is a certain way. Like, it is important for there to be reciprocity in any organization. Like, that's super important. It's super important for there to be conversations to be able to be had in organizations. All those things matter. But what you have to understand personally for you, you have to be strong enough within yourself to understand that though this environment is toxic, this environment doesn't define me. I'm not defined by my job. I'm not defined by my boss. I'm not defined by all these external things that can impact my personal leadership. Like, I'm not. You have to focus and put into perspective the fact that like you are the person that affects like the way things happen. Like you people are impacted by your decision at work. Like, the leaders above you may be terrible folks, but you have the ability to be influential in that environment, whether they're doing right or not. Because here's the thing, you're learning in that environment. You're learning what not to do. And you're learning what to do. And you're learning how to navigate situations that in some ways can be difficult, but it teaches you. You know, I think sometimes we have to be in toxic environments to see what not to do. Like, if you want to be a better leader, see what not to do. Isn't it funny how you see this in families all the time? And I'm about to answer your question, Jay. Give me a moment. But you see this happen in these environments all the time where let's talk about parenting real quick, because I ain't about to teach parenting class. But you see with families where kids who had parents that were like very, very might have been caught up in a life of alcoholism and all these different things and might be affected significantly by that. They may make a conscious decision that I will not be like my parents. I just simply can't, because I see the negative impact. So I'm going to go the complete opposite way. And it happens all the time where people make those decisions and they go the opposite way because they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop the momentum of things that are happening in a negative way and that are not beneficial and helpful for them. And when you want to move forward and actually do something significant and productive in the world, you just probably might make a decision and say, you know what, man, I'm just gonna go the complete opposite direction. But it happens because you saw what not to do. You saw that, like, this is not the way. This is not the way to do it. Nope, I'm not doing it that way. So I'm just gonna go the total opposite direction and do something different. Another question. My brother said, would you recommend taking breaks as leaders? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I don't even think that I need to elaborate on this. You can't be effective if you don't take breaks. Like, it is necessary for leaders to rest, because you can't see clearly if there's so much stress on you. And I'm saying this as somebody who struggles with resting. I realize that I'm the most creative when I am rested. I'm the most creative when I have given myself an outlet to spend time with myself, to think, to pray, to read. Like, I become more productive when I take breaks. But see, here's the thing. A lot of times what leaders don't do is they don't prepare other folks to step in their place when they go take a break. Because I go back to what I talked about earlier. The problem we have in leadership in this country and in our culture is we build leadership around personalities. Stop depending on personalities. We like somebody because they're charismatic, not because they're smart. We like folks because we just like their style, not because they are competent and understand what they're doing. Like, that's not going to work. We need people that understands how to do the work. And the problem is, when you don't do that well in your leadership, see, a part of your leadership is training people too. It's not about taking them somewhere also. It's about training them and preparing them so you can leave. The reason why so many leaders are burnt out is because they did not prepare somebody else to take their place. And it's so important for leaders to take a break. It's important for leaders to take a break. And I know it's hard, especially when it's your baby, when you built it from the ground up, when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something. It's hard to let other people do something with it. Oh, it's hard. It's so hard, but you have to be, you have to get resolved within yourself to actually invest and do something that is beneficial for the people that you're leading. Another question: what if someone is difficult on your team? Let me tell you how you deal with difficult people. You figure out why they're being difficult. Like, everyone has a story. You know, there have been times, I mean, even in the past few months, where I've seen some people say some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Like, it's crazy social stuff, crazy political stuff, crazy relational stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you know what you're talking about? Like, bruh. And what I have done personally has been like, let me step back, because this person has a story. This person has a reason why they are the way that they are. There's a reason why they might be being hateful in this situation. Like, there's a reason why they might be just kicking against the prick, as you know, some of my great uncles and old people that I know from Mississippi say. There might be a reason why they are not the most helpful when it comes down to engaging in conversations about this stuff. There's a reason. And we have to be conscious of that person's story. And I think when we understand our individual story and we understand why they act the way that they act, we know how to treat them or how to use them. And I don't mean in a negative sense, but how to make them more productive and beneficial to our teams. And you're right, Rashina, there is a why behind every behavior. We can be more productive in using people and engaging with people when we understand why they do what they do. When we understand their story, we can make a huge impact on the decisions that they make as relates to how our team functions and work. Because then when you start to empower them to do certain things, and listen, I think it's very important to also be mindful of individuals who are on assignment, I might say, to undermine and probably break down or destroy what you're trying to build. Because there are people who just show up because they're trying to, like, ride on your coattails or trying to undermine or trying to destroy. But I also think that you can do both. I think you can be discerning about, is this person trying to destroy what I'm trying to build? Or are they trying to be a benefit to what I'm trying to build? I think you can be discerning about that, but I also think that you can step back and actually engage with them and get real with them. Man, I love seeing everybody on here right now, man. I thank you for being on here with me and asking questions. If you have questions, put it in the comments on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I want to answer your questions as it relates to this subject called leadership and life. And I think all of us are being impacted by the decisions that we are making and that other folks are making right now. So I think that's how you deal with difficult folks, is learn their story, understand their why, but then once you understand their why, if they're still doing it, you might have to let them go. You know, you might have to constructively, sorry, woo, bye-bye, you know, you might have to do both. I mean, it's nothing wrong with doing both. I see some other folks joining. Like I said, ask me any question. I'll love to hear from you. I have another great question. It says, I have a team at my job of 50% are new. The other half are experienced. How do you suggest going about building a new culture and new expectations with this team? That's a great question, Nick. I love that question. Love that question. I think the way we can build an experienced and bigger or stronger team is doing several things. Number one, your experienced folks lean on their experience, but also make sure they understand they must respect you because you are the leader. Because I think one thing that leaders make the mistake of is we don't engage people in the process when we're talking about things or engaging with things, and we don't push people to, or we don't give people opportunities to give us a different perspective. And so it's important that when you have an organization or a business or in any type of leadership, to empower the experienced ones and give them an opportunity to engage in the process, so they don't try to undermine you. Because automatically in their head they're like, well, if they're the leader, I can do that job. They already think they can do the job. So you know, that's just a given. What you can do is empower them, and a way you can empower them is give them the opportunity to mentor. If they're healthy and they're productive leaders, you can give them opportunities to mentor and be a guiding force for new folks that could benefit and strengthen your team. Because a lot of times new people want to feel comfortable on the team. Like, you know, I remember when I first came to my job, like I wasn't, you know, I was new to what I was doing. I wasn't somebody experienced in my particular field, but it helped me out when I had folks who literally went out of their way to ensure that I could benefit from the work that we were doing. Like, they really, really made a difference in me getting an opportunity to be involved in growing that business. And I think that's how you should build that culture, is empower the leaders, be very clear. Hey, I am the leader, but I want you to feel a part of the team, because this is a team effort. We're doing this together. We're on a journey together. And empower the experienced ones and let the new ones know that though they are new, they are not insignificant because they're new. It's important that they know that, because if they feel like they got too much to prove, they may not do well in these situations. And I think it's important for leaders to make everybody feel like they're on the same team. We're making the same difference. We're making a significant change together. And it's important for all of us to do that together. And that's really important. And I think that's going to be great for your team. If you be very clear, this is the culture. We are a team and we're going to do something, but the standards are meeting the company standards. And if you need help hey, I'm assigning an experienced person with you that's going to empower you, that's going to speak life to you, that's going to encourage you and motivate you. But I'm also requiring that experienced person is about that life, understands that I'm holding you responsible if stuff don't happen or stuff don't get done. Like I'm requiring, I'm asking you to do it. You're the person that I need. So I think that's important. I have another question. What do you recommend to someone that has stopped growing in the area of their leadership that they're in due to people moving around or moving different seasons? I think one of the great things about life is that we don't have to learn in one area. I think that because you might have experience in one space, it doesn't mean that you can't learn in another area. Because it may just be that you need to refocus how you're growing. Sometimes people have built their whole worth around positional leadership. They built their worth around, hey, if I do this particular profession, that means that I'm a leader. And actually, I believe this, and I've said this a lot, that doesn't make you a leader. A position does not make you a leader. It is a personal understanding of your value and what you bring to the table to make a difference in the world. And when it comes down to leadership, a lot of people are in transition because right now, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people have found new work. A lot of people are they're moving to a different space. So they're trying to figure out, how do I, be the person that I need to be in this job? Like, how do I engage? How can I be more effective as it relates to my personal leadership, but also how can I do this job well? And honestly, I think we all are impacted by our own personal growth, but I think that we can really, really start to focus on other areas, because it may just be you were excellent at giving commands, but even in your job or even in your position, you may have not been good at teaching people how to manage money. There's an area where you need to grow. That's a space where you can grow in, that you have time to focus on another aspect of your leadership growth and development. Like you it's important for you to do that. And I may circle back to that and give some more thoughts about how can somebody grow when they feel stuck? Because I think a lot of people feel stuck right now. A lot of people, even if you haven't found a job yet, you really feel stuck. You feel like, hey man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't foresee how my life can benefit or my life is going to change as a result of what is happening in our country and our culture right now. Like, though, I think last month or a month or so ago, I saw that they added 2.2 million jobs to were created because we started opening up again to some degree, but that still did not stop the bleeding in a lot of ways. And people are having to really refocus their lives. Like, people are trying to figure out where their livelihoods are going to come from. People are trying to figure out, how do I live better? Like, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. So therefore they're having moments where they're trying to figure out, I don't know how to do this well. Like I just don't know. And so I think that it's important for us to really invest. Like, reading is obviously one of the best ways you can keep investing in certain areas of your life. Reading, man, the most powerful place you have is in the content you know. The information you know makes you powerful. Like, I work for a credit union right now. Like, one of the greatest things for me has been the information that I'm learning because I work for a credit union. Like, there are things that I know about finances that I did not know prior to working for that credit union, but it's because of the exposure that I'm receiving. And I think the way you can keep doing it is reading. It's looking for material. Like I said, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. There's so many places you can find information. You could just Google search anything. You can find information about stuff where you can learn and grow and expand and become more productive and effective in the world. It matters. It matters that you keep investing. It matters that you keep working. It matters that even though it may not be the typical way that you've received the information, it may be an opportunity for you to still get the information because you looked for it. Seek and you shall find. Like that phrase is a powerful phrase, because if you're looking for something, you'll find it. You just will. We live in a culture society where people look for things that they already think. That's the funny part, is that's the way information is disseminated now. Is folks, when they already have a preconceived idea, they look for information to prove what they already believe about an issue. That's one of the issues that we have in politics, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because, you know, I said my piece at the beginning about the political and social situation and the problems that we're having as it relates to leadership in that regard. Like, it's a problem. Next question. How important is covering in your leadership journey? Now, you're speaking to something, great question, Ralph, but I feel like you're speaking to something that relates to the church. And I have so many opinions about the current state of the church, which I don't have time to talk about. So I'm gonna answer your question. And you're right, Rashina, it produces growth, and having difficult people does cause us to have conversations the way we need to. And I completely agree. But to answer your question, Ralph, how important is the covering is in your leadership journey? I think it's very important. I think it is necessary for us to understand, is this person have our best interests at heart? And I think a lot of times it comes down to conversations and questions and engaging in ways that you may have not thought about initially. It is important for you to ask questions about, what is this relationship? What is this going to be? Like, I don't want to be a leader, or I don't want to be any person in leadership that is not mentoring. I'm scared of people that don't mentor if they're in leadership in some way, shape, form, fashion. Like, this is something that really impacted me significantly, and I will always consider her one of my favorite leaders in the world. There's a particular woman that I worked for. So we have maybe 16, or I think we have 18 branches for TTCU. And there's a particular manager that I worked for. When I tell you, man, this woman straight up was about investment in the people that she was leading. This woman literally pushed some of her employees to get certifications in certain spaces, even though they weren't trying to get to other positions. Like, she would literally almost like, she would graduate people out of her branch. Like, she will make sure that if you're there 3 months or 2 years, that you gain some skills through reading, through conversations, through just pushing people to get certifications. She was doing this so much to a point that literally there are managers, there are people that are in line to be credit union advisors. I'm talking about have influence within the credit union, have come from her leadership tree. They have come from her investing into them and saying, hey, I'm gonna make sure that you're successful. Like, Ralph, it's so important. It's so important that they're secure. Man, it's so important that leaders are so secure in themselves that they want you to be successful. That's like one of the biggest things that matters to me the most. I need some secure leadership, because I should want the people that I'm leading to shine. I should want the people that work for me to shine. Like, I should want these people to do something significant in the world. Like, I should want that. I should desire that my folks make a difference in the world. Like, I should desire that. And it is important. It is important that you have the right type of leader leading you in your leadership journey. Like, it matters a great deal. Because here's the thing. A good leader would bring forth correction, but also love, and also try to steer you in ways, expose you to things that will benefit you in the long term. And you're right, Sydney, teaching and training is a leader's best qualities. Yes, it is. Like, it is fundamental to leadership. You're not a leader if you're not teaching or training anyone. You're just holding a position. You're just a boss. You're just a manager. Like, you have the responsibility of preparing people to go to the next step and go to the next level. Like, that's your job. Like, it doesn't depend on the people. Like, that's your job. You're required to do that, man. It is your job to ensure that people are able to be successful in their careers. If you're the leader, wait, man. Like, I want people to be able to say, like, I can't speak for anybody else. And I love the engagement in the comments and everybody sharing and everybody commenting. Like, I want to hear from you. But I tell you, I love seeing when people say, man, my biggest influence was this artist. My biggest influence was this singer, this coach, this athlete, my mom, my dad, my aunt, all of us have been influenced by someone. All of us have. We have all been influenced significantly by someone. And so when we talk about this issue of leadership, it is so important that, like, we understand that, like, that influence makes us who we are. Right now, as I'm talking to you right now, there may be some people who see this who I will never meet. There may be some people who one day when I'm talking about something or doing something, I may never meet. But because I made it important for me to understand the qualities that I have and the impact that I can have, it may change the trajectory of their lives. It literally could change the trajectory of their lives. And that's why it's important for all of us to understand that leadership is not for the few, it's for the many. Every single person has a level and a capacity for leadership. Everybody. Your little cousin who is 3 years old, who you think is snotty nose and runs around the house and does crazy stuff and jumps off of stuff is a leader. That baby is a leader. Because if that baby asks you to come go get something for them, that baby's leading you. That baby is leading you, and that baby's influencing you and pushing you to make a decision. You may not believe it, but that child has an impact on the decision making that you have. When a baby, like, you see leadership from babies. When they ask for their bottle, low-key, that's leadership. Because they're making a demand that requires a response. Leadership is that simple. All it is giving directions. And when you get to a place where you recognize that you have the ability to impact people's lives, bro, like, the impact you can have. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. The impact you can have on folks' lives when you recognize your leadership matters significantly. It matters so much. It matters so much that you see the value in your work. It matters so much that you see yourself as someone who can cause things to happen within culture and society. It matters. It matters that you see yourself as valuable. It matters that you take the time out to help people and make a difference in the world. And in these last few minutes, I'm just going to say this to everybody. Like, more than anything right now, as we go into the second half of this year, we got to take responsibility for the things that's happening in our culture and our society. It's our responsibility. That kid that lives on your street, that you feel like is tripping and doing too much, and they always are just doing crazy stuff. Your impact on them is that you challenge them to be better. You challenge them to move forward in some ways. You can have that type of impact. You can make sure that child goes in a different direction that they're in. But it's taking responsibility. It's about responsibility. So the last thing I'm going to say tonight is, if you haven't done it, go and subscribe to Leading with Lee on YouTube. Go subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Spreaker, on Drizzy. I think it's Drizzer. I'm on every podcast platform. I'm on every single one. Go and subscribe. Because every other week I'm bringing it. I'm bringing information that would encourage you and motivate you to believe that you can make a difference in the world. So go subscribe to Leading with Lee on YouTube. Go subscribe to Leading with Lee on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the platforms, because I believe that it would encourage and motivate you to make a difference in the world. Like, you and I have an opportunity to make a difference in the world. Like, we can make a difference. We're not beholden to folks telling us what we can and can't do. You and I can make a difference. And it's important for us to understand that. And, as it relates to the rest of the year, tomorrow, there's a new episode dropping of Leading with Lee. I want to see you comment, like, share, talk to your friends about it. Like, I'm talking about transformational leadership. It's part 2 of the continuation of the episodes that I put out this month. Like, I'm talking about how we can innovate, how we can create, how we can be a part of the answers to the problems in our society and culture. It's a collective effort. So I love you guys. I'll be posting about the next time I'm going to be doing Leader Tips Live soon. And so, man, it's been good. It's been good to see everybody on here in the comments, sharing, giving your opinions. So much love, y'all. And I will see you next month.